Hey, boys and girls, Miss Mullis here. I hope you have had a wonderful weekend and you're ready for another week of online learning. So I will once again be looking at our reading activities for this week. And this week we're going totally away from the textbook. We're going to be doing two different books on matter, which you have been learning about matter with Miss Farah in science. And our focus will be on books from my own. So we're going to go ahead. I want everyone to click on my own. Okay. Once you get connected to the My Own app, we're going to do like we have in the past. We're going to go up here, click on Library, Search. And believe it or not, there's a lot of books written about matter. So when you go to search, I want you to type in matter by, because for this we want to put the specific author, and her name is Abby Dunn. Okay, this will be our book for Tuesday. So once you get that typed in, I'll leave it up for just a moment so you can make sure you see how to spell her name, Abby Dunn. Luckily, the title is just that single word matter. So Matter by Abby Dunn. You're going to search. And if you'll notice, it brings up a lot of different books. Actually, can you believe it? There's 116 books just written about matter. And I went through and found some of my favorites to share with you this week. So we are going to scroll down through here. And all right, so here is the book that we're going to be reading by her. You'll see when you get there, there's a little girl blowing the snow. So we're going to click on that book. Okay, we're going to read the book, because after we read this book, you will take an AR test, but don't panic. There's only 3 questions, and if you pay attention, you'll do great. So click read. Okay, and where I've looked at the book before, of course, I'm going to be clicking start over, where you're going to click read the book. Okay, so I'm going to give everybody a chance to read through the book. I'm going to be listening and following along as you do today. So our first subtitle, we'll review some text features, is what is matter? So hopefully you can answer that question based upon the science you've been doing so far, but just in case you've forgotten, we'll do a quick review on this page. All right. So everything in the world is made of some type of matter, including us. So what we do need to remember is no matter what something is, it is always in one state of matter, whether it's a solid, liquid, or gas. Next page. Everyone.
Solids. Solids keep their shape and size. Some solids are hard. They don't bend. Rocks, ice cubes, and air are all solids. Okay, ice cubes are solid. Excuse me. So he also read the caption. Remember, that is a text feature that we have learned this year. Remember, a caption is just words that explain what's going on in the photograph. Okay, so the thing we need to remember the most is solids keep their shape and size.
Okay, that might be a part of your quiz, so keep that in mind.
Some solids change shape easily. You can form awkward
Okay, so we learned a little bit more about solids. Okay, so we have to remember liquids don't have a shape of their own, right? So as you're looking in that book, you'll notice the liquids take the shape of the container. So we have a picture of milk, looks like a glass of water. Not exactly sure, I'm believing that's probably the shampoo, but they always take the shape of their container. All right, so gases, they have no shape. They just spread out and fill the space around them. And we know that if it wasn't for the air that we breathe here on the planet Earth, that we would be unable to survive. So it's something that we need to be thankful for. So even though we can't see it, it's important to know that it's there and that without it, we couldn't survive. Okay, so one example I've always taught my own children about this one is how sometimes we take a pitcher of cold water and then we add Kool-Aid powder, because we love to drink Kool-Aid here at my house, and it changes the flavoring and the coloring of the liquid. So there's some very good examples of how matter can change shape. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this. Guys, this activity is not a requirement, but I actually tried this out myself here at home, because if you'll notice the materials that you need, most of us probably have around our home. So if you get a chance to try this out, I would love to hear from you about what you discovered and what you learned between the difference of the ice cubes being in the water and the antacid tablet. But remember, it's not required, but I hope some of you will try it out and let me know what you discover. You can be a scientist for the day. Of course, make sure you have your parents' permission and they help you gather the materials and do this carefully together. Okay, so we're finished with that book. That is our book for Tuesday. You do want to make sure that you take some time to reread this book one time, okay? And then take the AR test. And as I said, it's a simple test. There's only 3 questions. So I'm expecting to see a lot of hundreds and hear about a lot of hundreds from the other homerooms. So after you've completed rereading the book and taken your AR test, we're going to focus some more this week on context clues. All right, so I'm going to share the screen, but we're actually going to be looking at something different. So I am going to stop sharing here. Hey, there we are. Okay, and then I am going to show you. Let's see here we go. Okay, so we're going to share this screen. Here we go. All right, so you'll notice. Let's see, I'm not sharing though. Where did I disappear to? I'm doing magic tricks today. Let's go back to here. Okay, and then share. Okay, and here we go. So one thing that you'll be doing this week with context clues, we have actually added some worksheets, interactive worksheets onto our little man icon on our web page where he's waving his hands and it's labeled worksheets. And this week, we're not only going to be working with context clues, but you're going to be looking at synonyms and antonyms. So I wanted to introduce it, do a little bit with you, and then you're going to take time to go to the worksheets app and complete these to turn into your homeroom teacher. All right, so as you can see, first it introduces context clues, which we have learned, okay, from last week. Context clues are the words in the sentence or paragraph that can help you figure out the meanings of unfamiliar words. Okay, so unfamiliar means we're not really certain that we know what they mean. Okay, synonyms, hopefully you remember doing synonyms earlier this year. Remember, they're words with the similar meaning. They can be great context clues, okay? And I always taught my homeroom and my reading group, you think of synonyms being the same. They mean the same thing. Synonyms, same. So we're going to look at these examples here together. Okay. All right, so let's look at this paragraph together. It says, Pierce mumbled a sad hello when he came into the kitchen. Dad quickly put down his book. Why so glum, buddy? Pierce joined his father at the table and told him about his horrible day at school. Dad stood and motioned Pierce out of his chair. He embraced his son in a warm hug. Okay, so we'll notice that as the student was reading this particular little paragraph about Pierce and his day, that words were circled and underlined that might give him a hint of how Pierce is feeling, okay, what's going on with Pierce. And he also even underlined and circled some words here of father's actions. So it says the dad is clearly worried about his son's sadness when he asked, why so glum, buddy? So glum means sad. Some of you may have heard your parents or other people use that word before. So sad and glum are synonyms. All right, and then we look down here, and his father's warm hug, Pierce is wrapped in his father's caring arms, so embraced is a synonym for hugged. You may have learned a new word today. So when you embrace someone, you were hugging someone. And we know that the father did that to try to help Pierce feel better. Okay, so we're going to do this first one together. We're going to talk about this first one. And then we're going to let you actually continue on with the rest of page 1 and page 2. And you will turn that into your teacher. All right, so here we go. It says directions. Use the context clues to figure out the meaning of the underlined word in each sentence. Circle the letter beside the correct definition for each underlined word. Okay, so let's look at our first sentence together. And we see the Jacksons' majestic new house in Buckhead was even larger and grander than the Ansley one. Okay, so we have the word majestic describing a new house. And we also have some clues that tells us that it was larger and grander than another particular house in that neighborhood. So let's take just a minute to think about what majestic may mean based upon those clues that we have, describing it as larger and grander. If you've never been familiar with the word grander, that's just another way of saying it was much nicer than the Ansley house. All right, so let's look. Do we think majestic means far away? Don't think so. How about bright and shiny? Maybe. Okay. C, very impressive. Okay. If something's very impressive, that means that you're amazed by it. Okay. That might give us another hint. Or D, do we think majestic means right or appropriate? It would be an appropriate new home. Not sure. So let me give you just a moment to think about that one. Choose your best answer. Okay. If you chose C, very impressive, I'm going to highlight that answer. You are correct because it was impressive, right? It was even larger and grander or nicer than the Ansley house. Good job on that one. All right, let's just go ahead actually and do number 2 together as well. And then you'll have some time to go finish the rest of these on your own. All right, so let's scroll up here where we can see it better. Okay, Kiefer stepped before the moonlit window. His nose stretched into a snout with fangs as dark fur grew all over his body. Ooh, a little scary. Okay, Siegfried didn't even flinch, which was strange. Most people half jump out of their skin the first time they see a werewolf. Okay, so our key word here is flinch. Okay, so when he saw Kiefer turning into a werewolf, he didn't flinch, and they thought that was strange. Clue here, most people half jump out of their skin the first time they see a werewolf. So let's look at our choices. Once again, we have A, to step back from or to pull away. Do we think that's what flinch means? B, to show amazement. Okay. C, to change into. Or D, to become jealous. So I want you to take just a moment, look back at that sentence. You might even want to reread the paragraph. And pick your best answer. Okay, hopefully everybody's had a chance to pick your answer this time. If you chose A, to step back from or pull away, he didn't even flinch. He didn't move. He didn't try to get away. So that is the meaning of the word flinch. I hope everybody agrees on that one. Okay, so now it's time for you to do a little bit of work on your own and turn this into your homeroom teacher. Okay, so you'll notice we have a combination here on page 2 of sentences where you figure out the meaning, thinking of synonyms and context clues, and you have also at least one, you have one paragraph. Okay, remember you're only doing this page today, just page 2. We'll continue with the next part together and independently tomorrow. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed our book that we read about the matter today. Don't forget, if you haven't already, to reread the book once yourself. Take that AR test and let your teacher know when you've taken it. Remember, there's only 3 questions. It's not that bad of a test for a nonfiction book. And then also make sure you log on to the little Worksheet Man app and complete page 2, this page that is on your screen now, number 3 through 8, and turn that in as well. Let your teacher know how you're doing with context clues. You do not have to go any further because tomorrow we'll look at the next step. Okay, guys, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.